The wagon creaked beneath the dying sun, its wheels groaning against the dry earth as if mourning the weight it carried. A young woman named Ilara sat chained to a corpse, a man whose face was pale and stiff, eyes open to the endless red sky. Dust clung to her lashes, and her lips trembled with exhaustion, fear, and disbelief. Her wrists bled where iron shackles bit deep, and every jolt of the wagon sent agony rippling through her body. She didn't know where she was being taken. Only that hours ago, the man beside her had still been breathing and whispering prayers to a god that seemed to have forgotten them both. Now his silence was heavier than the chains between them. The driver's whip cracked once more, and the horses lurched forward, dragging their grim cargo toward a small farmhouse. In the distance, the home of the widow Marin, the woman who held the key. They said she lived alone after the war took her husband, but her name carried whispers of darkness, that she offered shelter to the broken, only to keep them longer than they wished. As the wagon halted, the widow stepped into view, tall, cloaked in mourning black, her silver hair pinned like a crown of thorns. Her eyes, sharp and cold, settled on Ilara with unsettling calm. "Unchain the dead," she ordered the driver. "Leave the living." The man hesitated. "She was accused, ma'am," one muttered, caught stealing from the marshal himself. The widow's lips curved. Not quite a smile, but something between curiosity and cruelty. "Then she'll pay her debt here," she said softly, pulling the key from a ribbon around her neck. It gleamed like gold in the twilight, the key that decided who walked free and who never did. Ilara's heart thundered as the chains rattled loose from the corpse. But not from her. The widow motioned for the body to be dragged away, then stepped closer. "You'll learn silence in this house," she whispered. "And if you wish to live, you'll learn to earn your keep." Inside the house, the air smelled of lavender and decay, a place too quiet, too still. The walls were lined with portraits of men, all gone, their eyes watching. The widow guided her down the hall with an eerie grace, her candlelight flickering like ghosts whispering secrets. "Why did you chain me to him?" Ilara finally asked, her voice breaking. The widow paused at the door, her shadow stretching long across the floorboards. "Because," she said, "every soul needs a reminder of what awaits if they choose wrong." That night, as thunder rolled over the plains, Ilara lay on a straw bed beneath the same roof that had buried countless secrets. Through the crack in the wall, she saw the widow kneel beside a small chest, whispering names as she turned the key inside the lock again and again. Every time it clicked, Ilara's stomach turned, as if the sound sealed fates. Somewhere outside, the wagon was burning, and the dead man's body turned to ash. She didn't know if she was next, but she knew one thing, that key. The storm passed before dawn, leaving the farmhouse drenched in silence, broken only by the sound of water dripping from the eaves. Ilara woke with her wrist still sore and her body aching from the hard floor. The air felt heavy, as if the house itself breathed slowly, alive, waiting. She sat up and looked around the dimly lit room. A single candle burned low beside a wooden crucifix, its wax pooling like tears. The widow's voice came from the hall, low and steady, murmuring to someone who wasn't there. Ilara crept to the door, pressing her ear against the old oak. "You were foolish to trust him," the widow whispered. "But they all are." Ilara's heart raced. She heard the scrape of metal, then a quiet click, that same dreadful sound she had heard last night. The key. The widow kept it close, always within reach. Ilara stepped back just as the door creaked open and the widow's piercing eyes met hers. "Couldn't sleep?" Marin asked, her tone calm but knowing. Ilara forced a trembling nod. "No, ma'am." The widow's gaze softened slightly, though her face never lost that cold edge. "Then come. You'll work for your food." She led Ilara outside into the gray dawn. The fields stretched endlessly, wild, untended yet beautiful in their desolation. A rusted wagon wheel lay half-buried near the barn, and Ilara couldn't help but glance at the ashes smoldering, where the dead man's body had been burned. "You were chained to a sinner," Marin said suddenly without turning around. "He robbed, killed, and lied. That's why he died the way he did." Ilara hesitated, feeling the weight of those words. "And what about me?" she asked quietly. Marin's steps faltered for just a breath. "That," she said, "is what I intend to find out." The morning passed in silence. Ilara scrubbed the floors, hauled water, fed the horses. Each time she looked at the widow, She saw something strange in her eyes. Grief, perhaps, or guilt hiding beneath discipline. By afternoon, Marin brought her a bowl of soup and motioned for her to sit. "You're not from here," the widow said. "Your accent gives you away." Ilara lowered her eyes. "I was traveling west," she answered softly, "and with my brother. We were ambushed. I ran and they said I stole." Her voice broke. "But I didn't." Marin studied her carefully, her fingers brushing the key around her neck. "Everyone says that," she murmured, though not unkindly. "Still, I've learned not to trust the lawmen either." For the first time, Ilara saw something almost human in her, a woman who had lost faith in both justice and mercy. That night, as darkness claimed the hills, Ilara lay awake again. A sound came from below, the faint creak of the cellar door. She crept down the stairs, her bare feet silent on the wood. The cellar smelled of earth and old blood. Lantern light flickered against the stone walls, revealing shelves of jars, tools, and letters, hundreds of them. She picked one up and read the name, Samuel H. Marin.